Do 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 do. Well. Alright, what's going on, guys? It's Ishto. Back at it again with another Halo Forge video. It's been a while since I've done one of these or anything on this channel besides that intro that I uploaded. Hope you guys enjoyed that, and I hope you guys will enjoy what I plan on doing. Now, I'm going to show you this video. It's going to be a simple video. It's not going to be anything super crazy. Now, I'm just going to show you simple stuff. As you can tell by the video, it's called an updated Forge tutorial. Now, I already have the map here set up so you can see what I have here, and I'm going to show you individually what I have done to make the map look the way it does right now. This is kind of a finished, like, aesthetic tiny bit area that's just for you to walk around on. As you can see, it's nothing like for a far out view. It's more or less for a close-up view. So I hope you guys enjoy this, and we shall get on moving. Now I'm going to talk about the grass first because it takes the most to describe. So as you can see here with these patches, it's just kind of scattered all over the place. What I've done is I've made a palette over here on this platform. What I did was I just kind of threw grass random in different places, grouped it together, and just kind of moved it around like this, and just made a cool patch of grass that is stuck together, and it looks natural from a foot down perspective. Looks perfectly fine, nothing wrong with it, and it looks really nice. Now, moving on to the main part of the map. The one thing about nature, for those who don't really know this or understand how to forge, what you want to do with forging natural terrain, you want to make sure it looks natural. Now, the one thing I'm going to show you here is what I have over there, and move it over here. So, the terrain that I have, that I started off with, I started it off like this. Now, when I did this, I just did a simple thing like that. Now, what I've done here to fix up this little overhang of terrain, you take a smaller cliff, and you just kind of peek it out there. Make sure it kind of looks a little bit natural, kind of phases in with the other cliff. You have this other cliff here, turn the other direction, so that way it doesn't look like a repeat of the same rock, because if this was a repeat, it would look bad. Just the same repeat of the same rock, it never looks good, it looks bad, especially if there is a cinematic going over the map like this, and it gives the map a bad look at. So, never do that. Always try to make everything go in a different direction, make it look nice. Now what I've done over here is, for these cliffs, is I just used a cliff piece, and I took a large rock, and I just kind of phased them together kind of like this. And what it does, it gives you this nice little kind of cliffside look here. Kind of phases together, it gives you that little look. And this is what happens when you do it. Looks pretty good if I do say so myself. Now, again with terrain, you always want to try to make things, and this is where I'm going to go try to give you a little bit more detail. If you notice how on these objects, how you can see these little crevices here, as this like little yellow line flashes over them. So that little crevice there, a lot of times, just kind of ruins the terrain a little bit, in my opinion, and it makes it look a little less natural. So what you want to try to do is try to make sure that whenever you're putting rocks together, that crevice kind of looks like that little crease. They kind of look like they're together, but at the same time, it's like it's barely noticeable. The only problem is that this rock up here also is kind of having that problem. So what you want to do is you just kind of, if you can't really fix it, just get rid of it. Just kind of do this and put that rock inside of that rock, and then you're done. But anyways, that's what you kind of do for most rocks and other terrain that you have with them. It's really hard to, sometimes it's hard to get it where you exactly need it, and it is kind of annoying. But anyways, moving on. For terrain with grass, like, you know, these flat bits here, the best combination I find with terrain is always the rocks from Alpine, and then the terrain from Tidal. they blend in such a way that it looks normal for them to be together, and it looks really good. It looks really fresh. Now, the terrain like this, whenever you put them on these larger rocks here, the one thing that some people seem to struggle with is that when they put some of this terrain down, is that sometimes it clips out like this here. It kind of does get annoying to deal with, and it is really stupid that, like, you can't just get it where you need it to be. So just use the smallest, terrain that you can, and try to get them in there. And if you can't, then it's like it's no big deal. And like, this looks perfectly fine. I just went from the smallest terrain, well, the biggest terrain, to the smallest. Now, moving on to trees. Again, with trees, no one in real life, when you go out into the woods, you see 3 trees or 4 like this all together. You don't ever see trees like this all the time. What you'll see trees do in nature, if they are close together, you'll see them more being leaned over. You're going to see them slightly leaning, not all facing the same direction. They're all going to be facing a different, way, and whatever else. They're all going to be kind of just doing their own thing, and you'll kind of have them doing this or that, and kind of want to space them out a little bit more, give them this nice natural look. Now, not every single one of them is going to be leaning. Not every single one of them's, going to be doing what they do. But as long as you tilt it slightly or turn it a different direction so that these aren't always facing the same exact way. A lot of times it will be hard to not have them facing the same exact way because every single tree has that little object on there. As long as you can get most of it to go away, you're fine. And you won't have that problem with the map or like any of your trees looking unnatural. Now, let me show you what I have done with this cave. Now, the one thing about caves, what a lot of people tend to do, is they tend to overuse objects that aren't all that really necessary. What I ended up doing was I just used 4 rocks. I used these rocks all the way around, kind of just flipped them into a box. This top one is actually facing the same way as I think this one. Kind of. And it makes the floor here. And then this archway is surrounded by those other rocks over there, so that way it makes it look a little bit more natural, and it doesn't look like big boulders just kind of sitting up here against a flat wall. And the reason why we don't want that is because it looks like this. That looks bad. It doesn't look natural. It doesn't look good at all. Unless you were to somehow have a boulder-like wall, then it would look fine. What you want to try to do is try to fix in some of these smoother type rocks with the boulder-like wall. Have something around it, something kind of like this as well, like these little rocks here. Kind of just sitting around it, giving it that, a little bit more of a rougher look. So that way it kind of, blends in a little bit more, looks a little bit more natural. We'll just kind of blend these 2 rocks together kind of like that, and there we go. And if, you kind of have one of these moments where the rocks are floating like that and they look really bad and are weird, just take a ramp piece, just kind of put it up against the wall a little bit. Tilt it a little bit, make sure it looks nice. Walk by, make sure there's not like any bad creases in the grass. Kind of like what would happen if you were to take these 2 up here on the ramp. When you're making these ramp pieces, there's always going to be this like weird crevice like area. You always want to try to cover that up so that way people don't kind of look at the map and like, huh, that doesn't look natural at all. But that's kind of the most part. Now, the one thing, if you do end up having repeating cliff sides around an island or whatever else, kind of like I have here, because these are all repeating, what you would like to do is to take terrain like this or whatever you want to use and just put it underwater if you're on tidal or some other place, and just kind of give the illusion that they're not actually repeating. Because a lot of times, what some people tend to do is if they do make a big map, there is a different island somewhere that you can see this whole area, and then you can be like, oh, that doesn't look all that nice. So it's best to try to cover it up as best as possible. I didn't do the best job. I probably could have done better if I just decided to, make this go deeper or whatever else. I don't know how deep I can go with those, but I'm not gonna try to test that in Suicide this video, so yeah. But terrain and background to make the map look nice. You don't have to get super fancy with adding a bunch of stuff or like extra things or some crazy super duper like Uber. I wish there was an undo button. Well, you done messed up, Ishto. You done messed up. Yep. There it is. Yep. Alright. Let's make it to where we can kind of see that tree. There it is. Probably a little bit more this way. Yep, there. From over here, you can still somewhat kind of see it. So you kind of want to do stuff like this, make the map feel a bit more alive. A lot of times on maps, it's kind of hard to do that, and I understand how that feels, trying to get the map to look or feel more lively and not, dead. It's one of those things with a lot of us forgers is that what we try to do is we try to make a map feel real. We try to make it look, good enough to the point to where it's like, ooh, like, that'd probably exist in real life or something like that. At least that's what I try to do anyways. It's one of those things that if it doesn't look right, I spend about 4 hours fixing it. But yeah, it's just a simple thing of make a nice little backdrop, make a nice little background. Sometimes I wish I had a facial reaction thing to show people how I react to getting stuck in walls. It is kind of funny. Now, if you can still see the background, it looks like there's a gap between these mountains. If you don't want to have that look there, just kind of keep doing something like this. Kind of keep giving the rock walls some more, oh, this is the one thing that can kind of repeat, because not a lot of people are really going to constantly look at your background. Unless you're me, then I will constantly look at your background. But anyways, this is kind of how you forge, natural terrain and all that other stuff. This is how you place kind of down grass. And if grass kind of does this little effect where it gets darker for some reason, just move it to where it doesn't get dark, generate lighting, see if it fixes it itself, and if it doesn't, then delete it, then it's probably glitched. Because some of the grass, for some reason, a shadow will have appear over it. Have appear? Oh my lord, can I English? Sometimes a shadow will appear for no reason, kind of like this, and it's one of those things, it's like, you know what, I'm not going to bother, I'm just going to delete it. I mean, it's not going to hinder the grass and how it looks over here. It can look a little bit dark, doesn't really matter, as long as it blends in with the rest, looks pretty okay. So we're not going to go super stupid with it and try to fix every little thing. And sometimes if you still have your grass grouped together or any other objects and the lighting is not doing something that you need it to do, ungroup the objects and see if that fixes it. Because sometimes if you have objects grouped together, the shadows will go stupid and won't actually respond the correct or proper way that it's supposed to. And I have learned that many times through forging on some of my maps. And I found that out using some of Darth Dreas's prefabs. And at some point I plan to start looking at those again to see if he has anything new. It has been a while since I have been on Halo 5. So I hope that I can start looking at some of his stuff again and show some more stuff to you guys after this video. But anyways, I hope you guys enjoyed this video. If you did, leave a like, comment, and subscribe if it helped you. And if it did, please tell me. and share the video. Again, this is an updated thing for natural terrain. This time I've actually saved the map. When I finish the full map in the next video to talk about what I'm going to be uploading to the channel after Forge maps, I will release this full map so that way you can go to it yourself, check it out, kind of just chill on it if you want, and, you know, walk around, see what I've done to it afterwards. I plan to probably make this into its own full map, because you know me, I kind of like to do that sometimes. But anyways, I'll see you on the next one. Peace, guys.